On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside episode 396 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. We certainly felt like we were in enemy territory in Winnipeg last night as we watched the Sens come out on top 3-2 in their first preseason game in front of a capacity crowd at the Canadian Life Center. It was amazing to see so many Sens fans, and we got to meet a few of them. And then on the ice, we got to see the full Ridly Greig experience with a goal and a game misconduct. We have so many Sens Central standouts to get to, and it was a busy weekend overall. You had the Logan Brown trade. We'll analyze what's coming back in Zack Sanford, and a scrimmage that saw Colin White score a highlight reel goal. We'll get into all that and more. Training camp's underway, and this is the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day. Today is Monday, September 27th, and Pilsy, excuse the hoarse voice, but we had an absolute time last night.
What an experience to be back at live Sens hockey. It felt so good to be back in the rink, to see the ice, to hear the crowd, to get some beers at the game, some snacks, and man, even better when the Sens come out on top with a 3-2 overtime win, and they won the shootout to boot too, so you gotta love that. But it was great to be here in Winnipeg.
A pair of wins in one night. You don't often see that. We'll take you through the game from our eyes, and what better way to open the scoring than with the goal of the year so far? I mean, there's been 2 days of preseason games, but take us through Ridly Greig getting the puck with speed coming over the offensive blue line.
Yeah, this was an all-round great goal. Like, good setup, getting the puck out of the zone, getting it to the neutral zone, chipping it up to Ridly Greig, and the Riddler didn't waste any time getting up the ice. And when he was getting up the ice, I wasn't sure what he was going to do there. He kind of looked like he was driving wide, and there was no support with him yet. I think the other guys went off for a change, so I was like, this is probably going to be a nothing play. And then Ridly Greig decides to go through the legs and then backhand shelf for the first goal of the preseason. I nearly leaped out of my seat. I was going wild. I felt so good watching that goal. It was electric, and especially it was even better because the rest of the Winnipeg crowd was just kind of getting settled in, and then we're just losing our minds over there over that highlight reel goal. And I'm sure a lot of the Winnipeg fans know Ridly Greig pretty well. He only plays down the road in Brandon, so they got a little taste of that at an NHL experience.
Yeah, and shout out to the fans in Winnipeg. Great crowd. Everyone, I mean, it was the first time where everyone could be at a sporting event, and it's preseason, so I think the animosity was at an all-time low, but we were getting some jabs here and there. They tried to say that the Ontario vaccine line was just down the street right across the border, so they had some fun with us for sure, but we also got to meet a couple Sens fans, which was awesome. Nick Anderson had some beers with us pregame, and then 204_MB came and saw us in the seats. So it was really cool that to see that Sens fans travel well, even though it is the preseason. But after Ridley put Ottawa up 1-0, you could say that the momentum swung the other way, though, Pilsy? After the first period, at least, Ottawa had a good chance to make it 2-0. But in the second, and Anton Forsberg was a pretty solid contributor, I thought, going up revenge game, if you can call it that, in early preseason play. But he played the first half of the game. But talk about a tough place for Filip Gustavsson to come into midway through a period where they were outshot 12-1, Pilsy.
Yeah, that second period was absolutely awful. I mean, it was all right for us because all the action was in our end with where we were sitting in section 104. But and hey, shout out to the listeners that we got to meet. That was a cool experience for us to get to meet people at the game. We're hoping to meet a lot more people in
17 days.
In 17 days in a home arena experience. But it was great to meet the boys and to chat some Sens. And there was a handful of Sens fans there. It wasn't all blue at the game, so that was great. And yeah, just the second period, good on Filip Gustavsson coming in and staying strong because the rails were falling off for the Sens. Like, I don't know what happened in between periods, but it was just kind of like the air deflated there.
Yeah, it certainly did. And do you think part of that was the second act of the Ridly Greig experience? Maybe the third act, because he had a great hit to start out the second period. I think he finished Brendan Dillon strong. And then take us through the game misconduct for cross-checking.
Man, this guy, Ridly Greig, we talked to him and he said he was going to try to work on, he wants to play with an edge, but he doesn't want to cross that line. Ridly Greig jumped over that line and stomped on it with that play there. I mean, there's really no excuse for cross-checking a guy in the face like that. Pierre Lew Dubois was not a fan of that, and that was a weird thing though, because he got a penalty and the ref announced it double minor, and you're thinking, okay, like I guess that's like a high sticking where maybe he was bleeding. Yeah, okay. And then they were just about to drop the puck, and the ref like stops, blows things down, and it's like, actually, no, that's gonna be a 5-minute penalty and a game misconduct, like really laying it on thick there. And you know what? You got to take the good with the bad with the Ridly Greig experience, like we talked about. Highlight reel goal, terrible, no discipline play there. Like there was really no need for that. Like it's not even like there was like a heated moment in the corner or anything. He just skated right up and cross-checked him in the face. So Ridley's gonna have to work on that. He's gonna have a game suspension there.
Yep, I agree with that. And Pierre Lew Dubois, talk about an eventful game for him too. I should mention he did score to make it 1-1 towards the end of the first period with about 37 seconds left on a power play. But on the 5-minute PK, Pilsy, the Sens were elite. Everything that they touched was right out of the zone, and it was led by Shane Pinto, who we'll get to in a little bit, another Sens Central standout and friend of the show. He got the Sens Central bump, Alex Formton.
Yeah, that was my player to watch, and he made me look good there. And Shane Pinto had a great game as well. Alex Formton had a great game. There was a lot of Sens Central standouts in this game.
Should we get right into it? Let's go. So start with your boy Formy.
Yeah, I mean, Formton, we knew he was going to have a good game. Anytime you're coming off a Locked On Senators podcast interview, you might as well chalk up a couple points, and that's exactly what happened with a goal and an assist. He had a couple decent chances all night, but that goal was nice. Just far side, heading in. He didn't have a lot of options, similar to Ridly Greig, but that's what we're looking for, right? You want these young guys to be able to make something out of nothing and not rely on veteran players in an NHL setting, and that's what these guys did. Alex Formton came in on the wing, ripped one right past. I think it was Comrie at that time. I forget who was playing there, but
he played the full game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was a great shot. I mean, that was another one where the crowd was just kind of like, what the heck? Like, how did that goal happen so quick? Like, it didn't seem like there was any momentum or a serious chance to score there, but that was a great goal by Alex Formton.
Yeah, and what doesn't happen fast with Alex Formton?
Honestly,
right?
Yeah, for real.
I mean, they should have known better. He took a couple penalties earlier in the game. Ones he probably would have liked to have back. A little trip, especially, that I thought was questionable. But as you can see, the boys at the game, hey, we're on the same side as we are here. Perfect. If you're watching on YouTube, I pulled up at Send Central. We had a busy night on Twitter, actually, and it culminated in our Send Central standout. So we already discussed Ridly Greig. Would you say with Ridly Greig, the good outweighed the bad last night?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that goal was so nasty. And to kick off the preseason like that, that was a good feeling, especially because the feeling coming into the game was I was a little nervous because the Jets had some top line guys, right? Like Ehlers was there, Kopp was there, Dubois, Brendan Dillon was there. Like there was a lot of high end NHL players there. Perfetti was there. Yep. Gustavsson made a nice save on him too. But they had a lot of talent ready for this lineup, and the Sens didn't let that scare them. And the young guys, Formton, Greig, Pinto, they all showed up, and they showed DJ Smith and the management staff that, hey, you don't have to put these placeholder veterans in here for us to beat out their jobs. We'll do it day one of the preseason.
And shout out Bet Online. The Sens money line is the gift that keeps on giving. Plus 160 going into last night's game. It hits as well. If you're looking on YouTube, I think the name that jumps out to people most is like, oh, I'm curious about this. Tyler Ennis was solid. Like, this guy is an NHLer, and I think he should get a contract no matter how the Brady Tkachuk saga plays out.
Oh, yeah. I would love to have Tyler Ennis back. It seemed like he was buzzing out there. It seemed like he had good chemistry. So that's a guy, I don't see why you let him go, right? Especially at this point where the Sens are kind of they're kind of looking for someone still to fill that right wing spot on the right side of that third line. So why not bring him back? And I mean, you gotta fill some salary in the meantime. So I think it's a no brainer that Ennis gets brought back here. And Ross, before we move on to the Shane Pinto goal, we had a couple tilts to talk about too, and there was some spirited chirps going back.
Yeah.
Igor Sokolov, you gotta love him, mixing it up with Ross, your boy, Logan Stanley. And these two were chirping so much, and eventually it just came to a boiling point. And but Logan Stanley, what a bonehead play. Like, Sokolov tripped him in the corner. I don't think it was fully on purpose, but just kind of a rough play that he kind of slipped out on. And then it would have been a power play for the Jets, but Logan Stanley decides to go.
Followed him around.
He followed him around after the whistle and gave him a couple extra slashes and some cross checks. So he ended up going back into the box. And then later on, we love Austin Watson. Not the greatest fighter, but it's sometimes it's a thought that counts, right? He's like, Igor, like, you better not try to fight Logan Stanley. Let's be real here. Like, he's a massive guy. He's got a lot of NHL, well, not a lot of NHL experience, but he's got some NHL experience under his belt. So I'll take this one for you. It didn't go Austin Watts' way. I mean, Logan Stanley pretty much just used his weight to bring him down. It wasn't like a spirited tilt where he outdueled him or anything like that, but they were chirping in the penalty box too. So Logan Stanley, look out for him when the Sens play them again, because I feel like that's going to be something that carries on into the regular season.
Certainly will, although they won't have 9 meetings like they did last year between those two teams, and thank God for that. But Austin Watson, I thought that line, it was Greig, Formton, and Watson in the first period. They were going up and down the ice. They were really a treat to watch. Obviously, when Ridly Greig gets thrown out of the game, everything's shaken up from there. But Shane Pinto took on extra responsibility, and we'll get into his performance right after we tell you about our friends at DirecTV. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that helps you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way that get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. The best part, there's no annual contract, so get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. All right, Pillsy. Speaking of content varies by package, two different types of players in Ridly Greig and Shane Pinto. What would you summarize Shane Pinto's game in one sentence? And then we'll break down that unreal goal to seal the win.
Easy. Shane Pinto's game in one sentence. I am ready to be the second line center in the NHL.
Yeah. I think so too. Like, do you think that in the next preseason game he'll get a chance, or they're going to start Tierney there, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you got to give Tierney a shot at least, right?
One game, sure.
Yeah. But man, what Shane Pinto was doing out there was so good, and especially like you just mentioned, when Ridly Greig goes down, his responsibility kind of doubles there, and he didn't let it show.
Well, he's just so smart, and you can notice it even better. We were lucky enough; we were pretty low in the arena last night.
Yeah, great.
And when you're that close to the ice, you can really understand how smart and how he reads what's going to happen, not just the next play, but the play after that, and he's always in the right position. So you see that, and you're looking at a guy who's, I think, ready to take on a bigger role. Like, look at this last night. He plays over 20 minutes. Him and Formie both had over 20 minutes of ice time. That's unreal. And 5.5 of it was shorthanded, Pillsy. Like that, you need gas in the tank to be able to kill that much time on the penalty. This is Connor Brown-esque. So why not just put the two together and call it a day? But he had 5 shots on goal. He had a takeaway. And Pillsy, this is what I want you to build off of. Shane Pinto, 62% in the face-off circle.
Yeah, that's clutch, because Ridly Greig was struggling in the faceoff dot.
13%.
Yeah, and it was very, very noticeable.
How's this for a Ridly Greig game? We'll get back to Pinto, but a goal 2 shots, 3 hits, 1 takeaway, 13% in the face-off circle in 8 minutes and 15 penalty minutes.
Yeah, that is wild. And I loved what DJ Smith said after the game. Classic coach, too. Like, oh, what'd you think of that play? Oh, I haven't had time to look at it. I love the coaches saying that. Yeah, right. You probably watched it 10 times, but I hadn't had time to look at it, but it was great. And the wording he used, Ridly Greig got involved. You gotta love that. Hey, he got involved in the game. Great. So that's great, and definitely good impression for DJ Smith. But yeah, back to Shane Pinto, and you talked about the penalty killing off that Ridly Greig major penalty.
Yeah,
we basically got a good look at the second PK unit, right? Like, it's probably going to be Formton and Pinto, and there's just another defining argument why Shane Pinto should be the second line center, because he's adaptable, right? Like, you can use him in different situations. You can use him on that penalty kill. Like, if we're talking right now, do you want Chris Tierney on that second power play unit or Shane Pinto? I'm leaning Pinto, and not because like Chris Tierney isn't
at tipping pucks too.
True. Yep. And like
just ask Sen's prospect.
Yeah, he had that one for sure in the World Juniors. But Chris Tierney is an okay penalty killer, right? But like Shane Pinto excels at the penalty kill, especially get him with a guy like Formie. Whew, look out.
Yeah, no doubt. And what I also like, the versatility is great, but just 5-on-5, being able to go up against a guy like Dubois. Like, I'm pulling up right now. I want to see who Pinto won his faceoffs against, back and forth, because Shane Pinto, okay, what I've got here is 5-on-5. He's 63%. He's just, man, I'm trying to find offensive and defensive zone faceoffs. Anyways, we'll get to that. But I would say if we're doing a 3 stars, we did our standouts. If we're doing a 3 stars, then you've got Shane Pinto. He has to be number 1. No?
Yeah, I would do probably Pinto, Formie, and you know what? I'll throw Ridly Greig in there. Hell yeah.
He was involved. For 8 minutes of work, that's solid. So I found it. And thank you for bearing with me. Shane Pinto going up against Pierre Lew Dubois, 5 for 6 in the face-off circle. Going up against Andrew Kopp, another NHLer, 4 for 6. Going up against Riley Nash, a guy who's been in the NHL, known as a face-off defensive specialist, 3 for 6. So you're looking at a guy who's going up against NHLers now, because in the rookie game, that's one of the main detriments. You're like, okay, he was okay on face-offs, but that's where he should have excelled. This is showing a real improvement from where he was in those 12 games he played with Ottawa last year. So I was thrilled to see a great game from Shane Pinto, because he's got a serious chance to make this team out of camp. And I think DJ has to take a long, hard look and see what he's got. And playing 20 minutes, that's a great way for those guys to start, both he and Alex Formton. Okay, final notes on last night's game. And we got to go in between the pipes with Philly franchise, because oh my God, those 2 post-to-post saves he made in the third period. Take us through that.
Yeah. We'll talk about Gustavsson, and then I'll take you through the Shane Pinto overtime goal, because we can't gloss over that for sure. So yeah, Filip Gustavsson coming in, and Ross, we're both tendies. I think we both know it is a weird feeling coming into the middle of a game without like an injury or a goalie getting pulled, like just doing it like this. Like, that's something that happens. Like, I was a house league goalie, so if we had 2 goalies on our team, like, we're just playing for fun, so you got to split the time. That's something I had to deal with, and it was super annoying. But I would rather come in to finish off the game, because I hated like, you want to finish what you started, right? Like, it sucks starting a game and you keep your team in it or whatever, and then you don't get the chance to close it out. But Filip Gustavsson, he comes in, he's got the red gear. He's looking good. And he made a lot of great saves. Like, we really noticed, Ross, that he was moving much more comfortably. Like, he wasn't overshooting anything. He wasn't kind of trying to be too aggressive coming out of his crease. Nothing like that. He's very calm, very composed. And his post-to-post movement was great. So I think, look out, guys. Filip Gustavsson, I really think him being protected by the Sens was a shot of confidence for him. Like, that's got to be a good feeling when you know you got protected over Joey Decord, who's a friend of the show, great guy. He had a great season. He's a goalie student of the game, so someone with a lot of potential. And then on the other side of that, you're looking at Matt Murray, 2-time Stanley Cup champion that they traded decent value for and locked up to a big contract. And Filip Gustavsson is the guy they decided to protect. That's got to feel good if you're Philly franchise. So I think he's going to come into this season with some positive momentum, and he had a great game, and it was a big reason why the Sens were able to hang on and come back and win this game in overtime.
Man, those two saves in particular, though, when it was a 1-goal game, that was before Formton scored. It was 2-1 Winnipeg
Yep.
in the third period. They bury one of those. You're looking at a situation where I don't know if it gets to overtime. It would have gotten to a shootout either way. They were going to do that just as practice, but Gus was perfect. 14 shots, 14 saves. And oh boy, some of them were absolute highlight reel. So let's hope he can keep this up. But even if he does, do you think there's a realistic possibility that he could start the season in the NHL? Because I think this is Anton Forsberg's job, period.
Yeah, I don't think he starts in the NHL, and I don't think he needs to either. I would like to see him get consistent in the AHL. Like, that's something we haven't seen, so I would like to see him do that, get comfortable, and then be brought up either because he's banging on the door and he's forcing the Sens to play him over Forsberg, or the other way, unfortunately, if there's an injury that happens. So I think he will start in Belleville, though.
Okay, so it's tied 2-2 in overtime. Shane Pinto gets the puck in the offensive zone and
he holds that puck. Like, it was crazy. Like Brannstrom and Formton were the two other guys on the ice, and they were trying to cycle and switch positions to get a drop pass. And Shane Pinto had a guy on him pretty much the whole time. And credit to him using that strength and size that, he's a young kid going up against NHL talent, and he was able to protect that puck. He must have had the puck for, I don't know, at least 15 seconds straight in the ozone, just curling around the net. And he scored like 25 seconds into the game. So I don't even think the Jets touched the puck that overtime. And he curls it around, and he's on the far side and just decides, you know what? I'm not getting an opportunity to drop a pass here with the cycle with the boys. I'll just get it on net, hope for some chaos, and it ends up going right in. That was another one where the whole arena was just kind of sitting back down from overtime starting and just kind of getting settled into their seats, and boom, it's over. The Shane Pinto show. How are you?
You know what it kind of reminded me of too was, and Sens fans might have still a bitter taste of this game, but there was a game against Detroit where it was in overtime and Nyquist circled the zone 3 times and Jared Cowan was chasing him. And then he just shot it, and Ottawa didn't touch the puck that entire overtime. So I got some of those same vibes from it, but I stood up and I said, and we were having a great time. A lady even came over to you and said, I really like your guys heckling.
Yeah, well, Formy was getting beat up in the first period, and we were just yelling, hey, leave him alone. He's a good kid.
He's a good kid. He came on the show, right? We always take care of our own, the Sharp Love as well. And Ridly, 3 guys who have been guests on this show in last night's game, and hopefully more to come going forward. So yeah, she had some fun with us there. And right when he scored that goal, I said, that's your number 1 center. Right,
number 1 center. There you go.
Well, with
Dubois,
Josh
Norris.
No, Dubois. I'm talking about. So.
Oh yeah, Dubois. Yeah.
So therefore, Pinto takes his powers and bingo, bango, bongo, and now he's number 1 center. That's just how it works around here. But no, it was awesome to be back in an NHL arena, and we can't wait to do it alongside all you sickos coming up. We've got one more storyline from the game we want to get into, and then we'll turn our attention to the Logan Brown trade. That topic is Mete versus Brannstrom. Who had the better game? I'll ask Pilsy about that. But first, a word from one of our favorite sponsors. Pilsy, do you want to take care of our friends at Built Bar?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, hey, if you guys have been following along on Twitter, you know I've been on the grind on the road trip. Not yesterday, but the day before. We did 20 hours in the car from Sault Ste. Marie straight to Winnipeg. And as you might know, if you've done that drive, there's not a lot of restaurant opportunities. There's not a lot of places you can sit down for a bite to eat to get some protein in you to keep going on that drive. So as a Built Bar expert, I brought a couple protein bars on the ride, and that kept me going through that long car drive. And I would highly recommend, if you guys are looking for a new protein bar to try, if you haven't already tried Built Bar, what are you doing? Get on Built.com and try them. But there's so many reasons to try it. It's the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, guys. There's so many amazing flavors to choose from. All the bars are covered in 100% chocolate. You chocolate lovers, this is the protein bar for you. They're soft. They're easy to chew. You can lose or maintain weight while indulging in a delicious treat. Trust me, guys, you're going to love these flavors. But the bars are low calorie, low sugar. So you're thinking, if they're low calorie, low sugar, probably not going to taste good. Wrong. And they're high protein and high fiber. So you got to love what Built Bar has to offer. They just brought back a favorite of mine. It's the Cookie Dough Crunch. One of those protein bars where it's got chunks of cookie dough on top, real cookie dough. It's amazing. That's what I had on my drive. And if you guys want to enjoy that, we got a promo code for you. You know we're going to hook you guys up. Head to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15. And you get 15% off your next order. You got to try Built Bars, guys. One more time, builtbar.com. Use promo code LOCK15 and you'll get 15% off your next order. It's Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar.
Make sure you're locked on Senators wherever you download your podcast. You can also watch us on YouTube as well. We really do appreciate if you subscribe and interact with us on YouTube. It goes a long way. And we appreciate you making us the number one first listen of the day when it comes to your Ottawa Senators news, stories, analysis, and some great interviews. If you missed out on Tyler Boucher or Alex Formton last week, Formton can be evasive. So you got to lock down to get in on the action. So, no, we do really appreciate all that. And, man, we're grinding out as well here as we lead up to the beginning of the NHL season. We're back to 5 shows a week, Monday through Friday. I've recorded over the last 3 weeks from Toronto, Sault Ste. Marie, Thunder Bay, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Halifax, and now you've recorded from Collingwood, Winnipeg. You're going to be in Banff tomorrow. BC.
Tofino is the final destination. Yeah.
So this is a coast to coast show, and we're glad that everyone is along for the ride. We can't express our gratitude enough. And I mean, being in an arena really kind of made it feel all real, right? We've just been talking about a team that I haven't been able to see play, and this is my hometown team, right? I always make sure that I get to at least a game or two a year, even when I was living in the heart of enemy territory. But the last game I went to was Chris Phillips' jersey retirement game, and that was 587 days ago. So to be in the building last night was really special, and getting to see one of the training camp battles was great too. It looks like it's going to come down to 3 guys for one spot. And we should mention as well, Austin Watson and Josh Brown were both wearing A's in last night's game. And Josh Brown, one of the guys who we're not sure where he fits in on this depth chart, because the coach has mentioned Nick Holden, Ron Hainsey reincarnated. He'll probably be in the lineup for better or worse, at least to start. But Josh Brown, Erik Brannstrom, and Victor Mete were all in the lineup last night. Who stood out of those 3 the most for you?
I actually really liked Erik Brannstrom's game, and it was good to get to see him live again. It's been a while, and I don't think he looks as small out there. Like, obviously, I don't know if he's grown in height much, probably not, but he looks like he's filled out a little. And there was a couple times where he got hit, he took the hit, and got back up and didn't make a big deal out of it. It didn't get him removed from the play. He was able to get the puck in the zone after taking a hit. He made a couple good defensive plays. He had some time on the power play. Like, Erik Brannstrom, he was really relied upon kind of as the number 1 defenseman last night. So he had a lot of responsibility on his plate. Even played the back, just kind of the ending of that Ridly Greig penalty kill, but he was out there. So I liked what I saw from Erik Brannstrom and Lassie Thompson. That was an interesting duo there.
Yeah, and they were both out there on the PK. You turned to me, you're like, wow, this is...
it looked a little weird, yeah.
Yeah, but they did just fine. And then I don't know if you touched on the shootout. Should we get into that? And if you're a listener locked on Senators, you would have known exactly what Erik Brannstrom would have done, because Joey Decord told us the scouting report on all those guys. And I tagged him, and I got a DM not even 2 minutes later saying that is exactly the move that Brannstrom loves to do. From
Eric Comrie, read the game notes, bud.
Yeah, confirmed, not a listener to the show.
Yeah.
Really friendly. So I don't know. What's this, his 7th year trying to make the Jets? Like, it seems like he's been doing it since like I was like 10 years old. And obviously still trying to make the jump here to a full-time NHLer. But how about, and Shane Pinto sniped on him too, 5-hole. So it was a great shootout if you're looking from a sense standpoint. And were you a little surprised that Brannstrom got an opportunity to shoot? They went Tyler Ennis first. He was stopped. And then Pinto scored, and then Brannstrom, the 3rd shooter out of everyone.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. And first off, Tyler Ennis had a sick move. I don't know if everyone was able to watch the shootout or what the television was doing there for you guys watching at home. But Tyler Ennis had a sick shootout move. Comrie just kind of scorpion leg kicked it, and then it hit the post, so he was close. And then, Pinto goes 5-hole, and Yeah, Ross, you called it. Even coming down, like before the ref even blew his whistle, Ross already gave me the play-by-play, and it happened right before our eyes. It was the weirdest thing.
Pinto?
No, Brannstrom.
Oh, with Brannstrom, yeah.
Yeah, and
I called Ennis too. I said he's gonna pull it to the glove side and then come back and shoot blocker.
Man, true Tendy. This guy knows everyone's breakout moves. He's ready.
Unlike Eric Comrie, I take a look at the game notes.
You got to be the e-bug for the Sens, Ross. Damn.
Fire me up. January 15th, next game in Winnipeg. I'll be there.
Huge. I don't think I'm going to make the drive that time. Sorry, buddy.
No, I'll just fly, man. It's all good. Hey, we're undefeated together, and the Sens a step closer to 91-0, right?
Yes.
3-0 now.
Whoa, wait, whoa. They're going to be 92-0. They won the shootout, too.
Ooh, there you go.
A 4-point night.
Added points. You love to see it. If I'm an objective observer here, I'm going to say that the gap was maybe not as big as I would have liked between Brannstrom and Mete, but I did think Brannstrom was the better of those two defenders. Although Josh Brown, man, like he was all right. He played over 6 minutes shorthanded, and he certainly held his own. He was physical and when he needed to be. And you know what? Maybe this is a different Josh Brown than we saw at the start of last year. Hopefully he can continue, because in the last 12 games, he was a good defenseman. So we're cheering for Josh Brown and hoping that he can cement himself. But if not, like those two left-handed studs, I think that they should both be in the lineup. But I think DJ Smith's going to pick one. And Brannstrom with 5 shots on goal and the shootout winner, I think it would be a shocker if he didn't raise his stock more than Mete last night. A guy who wasn't in the lineup as we transition on. Again, the Sens winning 3-2 in Winnipeg to kick off the preseason schedule. And I'm just pulling it up right now. Senators preseason up next for them.
Tirana.
On Wednesday. So a couple days off here. And to transition to off-ice stuff, they did send back 3 CHL players from camp. Carson Latimer is heading back to the Edmonton Oil Kings in the WHL. Chandler Romeo to the Hamilton Bulldogs in the OHL, and Ben Roger to the London Knights. And we're expecting that he will be named an assistant captain with London, but again, that is yet to be seen. Pilsy, how impressed are you, or how impressed do you think the coaches are with Zach Ostapchuk that he's still at camp? Like, they send every other junior guy they got in this draft back except for him.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not too surprising because of all the Sens draft picks, like universally, Ostapchuk was one of the guys that everyone really liked that pick and thought there's a lot of potential there. And he had a good combination of kind of size, speed, skill. So this is someone that I think is going to do well for the Senators down the road. And do I think he's gonna stay here? Probably not. I see him going back to the Dove for sure, and with the Vancouver Giants, but that's fine. I think he's made a good showing, and we're excited.
Yeah, hopefully he can get one preseason game. Would be great. I thought Levi Meriläinen was going to get some action last night. Again, he's going to go back to Kingston. Filip Gustavsson, the only other player who's still at camp, who will be back in junior. He'll be with Moncton. But I was surprised because he was on the initial roster, but then he was a healthy scratch. So I don't know. They could have just brought Mando or one of the other goalies if they're just going to have him in a suit and tie upstairs. But hey, let's see what Wednesday brings, because it's not coming too fast yet. And then they pick up towards the end because, you know, they play Wednesday, then Friday. So Friday, Saturday, back to back against Montreal. And that's when it really starts to pick up. But yeah, going from, you got to wait a couple days, Sunday to Wednesday and then to Friday. And I just can't wait till they get this show on the road a little bit further, get some more cuts involved and break this thing down, because there are roster spots to be had, but we don't know what the coaches are thinking. And once you start to narrow it down, once they have 6 lines in practice, then you start to really read in the line combinations and who's going to be where. And where do the new players fit? And the one new guy in town is Zack Sanford. Not to bury the lead, although Logan Brown, the saga is finally over. The 11th overall pick in 2016. Pierre Dorian's first selection as general manager of this team. And we did our bold predictions. And one of them was that Logan Brown would be the second-line center on this team. And he's gone. But what will be interesting to see as a Sens fan, it's a 4th-round pick, so But the trade officially is Ottawa acquires Zach Sanford, who has 1 year on his contract at $2 million. He's a Stanley Cup champion 2019. Got to mention that with St. Louis. He comes to Ottawa in exchange for Logan Brown and a conditional 4th round pick. The 4th round pick is only transferred if Logan Brown plays 30 or more NHL games. I don't know how confident I am in that happening.
Yeah, I think we can do a prospect profile for a 4th round pick for next year's draft, Ross. I'm not too worried about missing that one. But hey, this was a very interesting trade. Like we knew Logan Brown was getting traded, right? Like the writing was on the wall. And it's hilarious that he drove from St. Louis all the way. It's just talking about cross-country trekking. He drove all the way from St. Louis to get up to Ottawa, and then they say, hey, is your car still running? You might want to head back because you're going back to St. Louis. But good on the Sens. You know, that's a good move for Logan Brown. He's got to be ecstatic about going back to his hometown team, getting a chance there, hopefully for him. And you know what? Like we've said before, and I mean it honestly, I hope he does well. I hope he has a good time in St. Louis and that he can stay healthy because he is a good player and we're rooting for him, but it just wasn't going to work out in Ottawa. So it's great to give him a new opportunity and to get a new opportunity coming back to the Sens in Zach Sanford.
I spoke to Thomas Welch of Locked On Blues, and you can always go and check out Locked On Blues wherever you download your pods. I think they're on YouTube as well now. So we kind of swap notes back and forth about what kind of players we were expecting. How about the One Blues podcast? I don't even want to get the name, not worried about it, but he said that Logan Brown's physical style will mesh well with Craig Berube. I got some news for that guy. But here's what Thomas Welsh tells me about Zach Sanford. Very streaky offensively, blocks shots, and has decent stick play, but gave up the worst timed and egregious turnovers on our team last year.
Yeah. So I think essentially the Sens and Blues are swapping whipping boys, right? Like that's a guy the Blues probably had high hopes for, and you know, egregious turnovers and stuff like that get kind of under the magnifying glass more than his other good qualities. So that's something that can happen. And then with Logan Brown, for us, the injury problems and his inability to kind of take that leap and leave the prospect nest, if you will, and get to the NHL just never happened. So it's a swap of two guys that are probably in need of a new situation here. And I was watching some Zach Sanford highlights. There was a game against Vegas where he scored 4 goals. Whew, this kid can rip it. I mean, this was back in 2020, and asterisk, Malcolm Subban was the goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights. So, oh, you're muted there, Ross.
But 4 goals, that's absolutely sick.
It is absolutely sick. And they were nice goals too, like in tight, one-timers. Like this kid can rip the puck. And we've seen it with his stats too. I'm just going over to his elite prospect page. But
16 goals and 30 points.
That's what I was going to look for. Yeah, exactly.
58 games before the COVID pause. Like that's unreal. He didn't play every game when the Blues won the Stanley Cup, but he had 1 goal and 3 assists in 8 games during that run.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Pierre Dorion wants winners. This guy's won a Stanley Cup. He's got playoff experience. He's not that old either. We're looking at just a 26-year-old. So, like, initially when the trade happened, for whatever reason, I thought Sanford was a little older. So I was like, I don't know about that. But Ross, I'll pass this one off to you. This is just another classic Ottawa Senators friendship tour. Why don't you let everyone know all the connections?
Yeah, well, first off, he played under head coach Troy Mann in Hershey, although we don't expect him to play under Troy Mann unless wild circumstances happen. But he would be a guy who I think that Dorion would go to and say, give me some intel when you had him as a player back in 2016-17 after he turned pro from playing at Boston College, and both years that he was at his second year at Boston College when he put up nearly a point per game at 39 points in 41 games. He was all over the ice. Well, his centerman that year was none other than Colin White. DJ Smith made it clear that Colin White will remain at center this upcoming season. Do you see that as a likely pair once Zach Sanford gets into the lineup wearing number 13?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't see why they don't try it, at least, right? You might as well try to reignite some of that chemistry, but it does jumble the lines up pretty good there. Like they added another left winger. So there, Ian Mendez in his article, if you haven't checked it out already, they kind of toy around with the idea of moving Nick Paul to the right wing.
He does it all.
Nick Paul does it all, exactly. But then I start getting worried if Sanford is going to be on that third line with Nick Paul and Colin White. Where does that leave Formie? I don't want Formie on the fourth line, that's for sure. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they kind of utilize this new roster. But I'm excited for Zack Sanford. I think he's going to be kind of a bottom nine forward that can contribute offensively, but also let's hope he doesn't have those turnovers that Blues fans are kind of clamoring about. But it seems like he's got good size, 6'4", and he's able to help out on the score sheet here and there. So it's good for them to get an NHL roster winger back for Logan Brown, because Logan Brown, I don't even know if I would consider him an NHL roster guy. And now the Logan Brown saga is over. Man, I'm so glad next offseason, Ross, we don't have to get into this again. That's what I'm happy for.
Good riddance. I mean, it's the same as Evgeny Dadonov, where if he has success this upcoming year, good for him. It was not going to work in Ottawa. He made it abundantly clear. The lack of perceived effort that when you see like his stride, the pace is just so slow. So we'll see. I mean, this was heading towards a divorce for the last, 2 seasons at least, when he didn't ever get the opportunity. When he didn't really make the most of it, playing, again, fourth line minutes. So did he ever get a true opportunity to be in the role that would benefit his style the most? Maybe not, but you also have to earn those opportunities. And we know that DJ Smith harps and harps and harps on playing the right way. Like Josh Norris got that opportunity before him. He deserved it. And he stayed healthy to get those opportunities. Logan Brown, for all intents and purposes, he was a great player in Belleville. But Josh Norris won Rookie of the Year. Why didn't Logan Brown step up and have that type of season ever? And injuries played a factor. It was unlucky at the same time, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over losing Logan Brown. And in Zack Sanford, you're getting a player, at $2 million. And we'll get into the implications of how that affects the Senators and the Blues, helping them out of some cap trouble. But you're getting a motivated player who's 26 years old and going into the final year of his contract.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the thing, right? Like both these guys, when they're getting swapped, they're motivated for a new environment, right? Especially, I feel like the Blues had a weird season last year. So I think there's probably going to be there was some jumbling. Like they got Buchnevich, Hoffman left, Tarasenko is still up in the air. So that's a team with a lot of question marks. So if you're Sanford, you get to come to a young team where you're going to get an opportunity. You're one of the more NHL veteran guys on the team, to be honest, which is hilarious to say for a guy his age. But you're going to have a fresh start here. And I think DJ Smith is going to like Zack Sanford. He's a player's coach. So this is a great opportunity for him. And I'm stoked to see what he can do. Has his number been announced yet? What he's going to wear?
He'll be taking Nick Paul's old number 13.
Oh, okay. Nice. I like that.
Yeah, so we can expect to see him in Ottawa in the next couple of days. Of course, with vaccinated players, they don't have to quarantine for 14 days anymore. Like, remember Ryan Dzingel? He got acquired, and it's like, all right, see you in 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah. We need a winger now, but I guess we'll wait.
We'll settle. That's all we can do.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, it'll be interesting. I'm fired up to see who they partner him with right away. I think that'll give us a big indication. And just like we laughed at the Blues podcast for saying that Logan Brown's a physical player, just because Zack Sanford's 6'4", 210, that's not a part of his game. He's not going to be Austin Watson out there. He's more of a get pucks in deep, skill guy as well, and he can skate like the wind. So he certainly brings more pace than Logan Brown ever will. And I think that the way DJ Smith plays, he's certainly a guy that can fit in the system. I do hope that he doesn't take what would have been Tyler Ennis' spot, getting back to what we saw last night and in the past. Like, Tyler Ennis is an NHL player as far as I'm concerned, and I really do hope that he can find his way onto this roster going forward. But Pilsy, this was an awesome show, recapping a real live hockey game that we got to sit in our seats and watch. So just to rehash from last night, when you're calling your friends today while you're driving through the Rockies or through the prairies on your way to the Rockies, what's going to be your two main talking points about last night's game?
Well, first has to be Shane Pinto, right? Like the biggest, juiciest conversation for Sens heading into this off season is who's going to be that second line center. And as far as I'm concerned, it's Shane Pinto's job to lose. Like, Shane Pinto isn't fighting to get this job. He's fighting to keep this job, because I don't see anyone on the Senators roster that can do a better job at a second line center position than Shane Pinto. Is it concerning to have Josh Norris and Shane Pinto as your 1 and 2 centers in the NHL? Yes, those are young guys, but I think they're up to the task and they're motivated. Like, these young guys feel like this is their team. They're not like worried about veterans, or they shouldn't be, at least in my eyes, because they've taken a stranglehold of these roster spots. And there's no reason why, in my mind, why Shane Pinto should not start off as a second line center in the NHL, especially with the chemistry he had with Stützle and Connor Brown. It just makes too much sense. So that's the first one. Second one is our boy Alex Formton, Central bump. He had a great game. He was all over the ice. He had a couple shots. I think he even had an assist on the Pinto overtime goal. So
only multi-point player in the game.
There we go. Yeah, goal and assist. So Formton had a great game. Those would be my main 2 points, is the play of Alex Formton and Shane Pinto. I'm letting all my friends know that those are the guys I loved watching last night.
My 2 would be Ridly Greig.
Nice,
of course, getting to see a complete highlight reel goal right in front of us too. Like, could not have been in a better position to see that goal live. And then for me, the second one is Filip Gustavsson pushing further for a spot on this opening night team, if not making it a very hard decision for Zach Burke and DJ Smith, because we know DJ Smith doesn't care about goalies. He's been very honest about it.
He's one of those coaches that is just like, those guys that wear the pads over there, I don't know. Like, if they stop the puck, sweet. Like, you can talk to them about it. I don't know.
Yeah, bonus, and we're not going to pick this apart too much. Again, the Sens' top 2 lines were not in this game, but Ottawa's power play was 0 for 4. They got some good looks early. Igor had a few shots. That seemed to be their strategy. Get the puck to Igor and launch it on net, and good things happen. So, hey, I like the strategy. It just didn't work, as Ottawa went 0 for 4. Winnipeg went 1 for 5 on the power play, and one of those was a 5-minute major. So that being said, I think special teams was pretty even. This game overall was pretty even. Obviously back and forth in terms of Winnipeg dominating the second period. Ottawa, I'd say, dominating the better part of the first. And you know what? This is just game 1 of 89 if we're not counting the rookie games. So, hey, Sens hockey is here, and we appreciate you guys making Locked On Senators the #1 listen every single day, Monday through Friday. We're going to be here breaking it down, giving our opinions in. If you want something specific with the show, if there's a segment that you think would fit, then shoot us a DM at Sens Central on Twitter, lockedon.senators on Instagram. We're seeing unbelievable growth in the show still now through 2 years where the Senators have literally played 56 games that matter. So we're firing up for an 82-game season. Could not be more thrilled. Pilsy will be back from his trip in time for the home opener. Of course he will, because we're going to be sitting among you sickos in Ottawa. Once we need the capacity up, right? Like, there was a full house last night in Winnipeg. That was amazing. It really felt like a true sense of normalcy. Of course, Ontario right now is 50% capacity, but should there be no problems that you expect that number to go up. Hell, they've already sold tickets for the whole building. So let's really hope that nothing gets affected and that we can all have that beer with our Sens Central citizens. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.